You're by doing King Dingbat here, and welcome to another State of the Eagles. Today, I have a wonderful, wonderful guest on, a guy who I respect highly, love his content, Gate City Sports. Steve, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you inviting me on, 500.
Oh no, man! It is an honor to have you on. I wanted to have you on for a long time, so I'm finally figuring this computer stuff out, figuring out how it works. What's going on, everybody in the chat? I hope you guys are doing well. So for a lot of these State of the Eagle things, the one thing I always start with the first question, because I really am interested to pick your brain, because I respect, like I said, so much what you do with evaluation of the players, talking about the salary cap, things like that. So I want to know what were your thoughts when the Eagles decided to move on from Carson?
Well, I mean, there's two sides to it. There's what you learn after the move is made. Sorry, guys, it's kicking me off my own camera. There's what you learn after the move is made, and there's what you knew prior to the move being made. And before the move was made, I mean, I was like, okay, I mean, we hear the whispers of it. We hear that it's possible, it's a potential thing that could go on, but I wasn't 100% sold on it, right? Because the reports were a little anonymous. It didn't make a lot of sense in terms of like the contract and the amount of dead money you were going to have to eat in order to move the player. Like, I was just like, it seems like that would be a drastic step between these two parties. But then as you kind of learn some of the details that have fallen out afterwards, and the fact that, we knew all along, after they made the Jalen Hurts pick, I mean, you had Howie Roseman take the mic and say that he talked with Carson Wentz and he understood and it made it sound like he was on board. And then immediately Carson Wentz is like, no, that's not what happened.
Yeah.
Not okay with this.
I know.
And then we saw like right from the start that there was tension there. So, I mean, like in hindsight, not the most surprising move at the time it was happening. Yeah. I mean, I'll admit that I thought it was like, I kept saying in my videos, I was like, I'm going to say it's 50-50. I think it's 50-50 if he's here or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
In terms of scouting the player, you want me to go into like what I saw from Carson?
Yeah, whatever you want to say. Yeah.
Okay. Tremendous arm talent. Carson Wentz has a tremendous arm talent, but it unraveled mechanically with him. And I think a lot of that had to do with potentially, I don't know this guy personally, but potentially having, a child, an infant in the house, becoming a first-time father, having a COVID off season, maybe spending time on your footwork, but clearly not spending enough time with your private coach on your footwork. You go into the season, man, and it was quite obvious what was happening to Carson. His footwork wasn't right. And then to compound the footwork, he started making questionable decisions. He wasn't seeing the field as well as he's seen it in prior seasons. And turnover-worthy passes that maybe he got away with in prior seasons, they were getting picked off left and right. Yeah,
no, I hear you. Let me do this real quick. Trayvon Dixon, man, thank you for upgrading to tinfoil dingbats, buddy. Appreciate you. We'll have a couple of videos coming soon in the next few days, but thank you. And then Philly 52, man, welcome to Dingbat Nation, buddy. Appreciate you joining. Thank you so much. Shout out to both of you guys. What's going on, everybody? I see people coming in the chat. 116 people here. If you haven't clicked on Gate City Sports' description, link in the description, do it. Sub them up. You won't regret it. I promise you. It's interesting what you say about Carson's footwork. I still believe that they told this man that we don't want you running anymore because you get hurt all the time. They end the playoff game. He ends with the concussion on a scramble. And I believe they told him to get bigger. And I believe he got too big. I will say this to the end of the day. I cannot wait to see what he comes in at weight-wise this year, because I believe that is definitely something that happened.
I think you're spot on. I think what the Eagles saw is that he wasn't the same athlete following. I think he tore the LCL, MCL, and ACL back in 2017. So, I mean, that was a major knee injury. I think they realized that he wasn't quite the same athlete, even though that he was still very athletic. And then piled onto it, then you suffered the concussion outside of the pocket in the playoffs. I think you're right. I think they told him, like, look, man, you need to be able to endure some contact here, man. And like we said, and you remember when we did the combo on LB's channel before the season started, the problem is that when any decision you make, so if you decide to gain, if you decide to get bigger, then there has to be a trade-off. So for a trade-off for the strength you gain, the ability to absorb hits you gain, you lose some athleticism. And I think the Eagles made a really bad calculation in terms of maybe he's not the same guy on foot anymore when he's escaping the pocket as he once was, but he was still fairly good at maneuvering the pocket and avoiding a lot of pressure. And I think once he put that size on, that was it.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think that really hurt his game, big time. No question about it. What did you think about what the Eagles got compensation-wise for him? Because I was a little surprised. I actually think they got more than what I thought. I know a lot of people were thinking 2-1s, things like that, but I didn't even think they could get that, to be honest.
They got what I said they would get. I just didn't like the order in which they received it. I said that they would either get a day 1 pick or they would get 2 day 2s. They have the remote possibility of getting a day 1 pick and a day 2 pick. But to be honest with you, had you told me ahead of time that they were going to get a 3rd round pick this year and a potential 1st round pick the following year, I'd have been like, we can't reverse the order. Basically giving the Colts a license to build a team around the player you traded off to make us look like fools.
Right.
That part bothers me. It's like, I guess it just came down to the fact that they didn't, how he tried he tried to drum up interest and there just wasn't enough interest because of the situation in its entirety. I think teams were like, look, if he was a free agent and we could work underneath our own terms, it might cost us a little more, but we can structure the contract the way we want the contract. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think they had the suitors they wanted. Yeah,
no, I agree with you. A lot of people still coming in. Bobby, what's up? Big Play Slay, Sugar Tits. What's up, Sugar Tits? Chaos the Filthy. What's happening? What is going on, everybody? Thank you for joining on this Saturday. Like I said, I've been wanting to have Gate City Sports on for a while now, so it's really cool because he knows his shit. He knows his shit. So, now. Yeah, I mean, I really thought the Eagles got more than I was thinking. Like they're going to get a 3rd round pick. That would be about it. So, some way we need to figure out how Carson can play every game and then still lose. You know what I mean? That's what we need because we need that 1st round pick. And I like having it, and I like having that. I do like having that extra 3rd. And ever since they've gotten that extra 3rd, I've been all for the Eagles trying to get back up into the 1st round, using that 3rd or 2nd, or at least real low, real high, maybe the number 1 pick in the 2nd round, and get talent. Because one of the things that I fear with this team is I fear Howie Roseman making the draft picks. I do not have faith that he picks the right guys. How can we? So. Yeah. So what do you think about Jalen? What do you think about, his chances for this season? Do you think he's the real deal, or is it kind of wait and see?
I would be underneath the category of more of a wait and see. I think it's just really hard to determine ceiling or floor based upon 4 games.
Right.
I can tell you what I saw from the film and where I think he currently stands. I think that he needs to learn how to play on schedule more. And he's got to quit. He's got to quit depending so much on being off schedule. The problem is he's particularly
when you say schedule, what exactly do you mean by that?
So best example I can give you is say you got a 3rd and 7 situation, right? And a team's coming hot on you, right? They're gonna bring both linebackers and they're bringing an A-gap blitz on you. All right, you should know, predetermine in your head. You should be able to look at that and know that you have a vacated zone. Because of the pressure. Jalen is so phenomenal at avoiding pressure. And this went back to college, guys. His college numbers were phenomenal in terms of you look at his passing attempts to sack percentages. They were low. But the problem is he's so good at that sometimes he becomes reliant upon it. And then you'll have something like a drag route or a little dig route that's coming right into the vacated zone, and it'll pass it up to scramble. And it's like, hey, man, that's good until they start spying.
Right.
It's going to slow you down. He's got to get better at that phase of the game. And it's something that, like, I'll give him credit, man. Like, he's been attacking it. I mean, Quincy Avery did a podcast. Quincy Avery is his private quarterback coach. He did a podcast with PFF just the other day. And he talked a little bit about Jalen Hurts. And he was very forthcoming. He said, look, he's got to be better at this, man. Like, he's way too dependent upon the off-schedule stuff.
Right.
He's good at it, though. That's the problem. He's like,
Right.
same thing with Wentz. Wentz was really good at the off-schedule stuff.
Yeah.
But both of them, it's ironic that both of these quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz, both kind of had the same issue, which is, hey, man, when it's open, get it out. Like, sometimes the pressure is in your face and it is the O-line. Other times, yes, the O-line's getting beat, but there's an outlet. There's an avenue to pick up this first down.
Right.
We're just not making the appropriate reads.
Right. Right.
It's ironic that both of these guys struggled with that.
Right.
I do think you're not the right guy, though, man. I really love this coaching staff.
Yeah. We're going to, let's get into that second. Let me answer. I got a bunch of super chats here. Chris Ward, thank you for the super chat, man. He says, Mike Williams, wide receiver from the Chargers, a free agent. Go up and get it type of guy with the Eagles. What do you think about him? So what are your thoughts on Mike Williams real quick?
Not the fastest guy in the world, a guy that I'm very familiar with being out here in Greensboro, North Carolina, by the way, because that's where he played at. Mike Williams is he's a contact guy. He's a yak guy, but he's pretty good. I can tell you this, this is, I think, the common mistake that gets made is that people think you have to have 4.3 speed to separate in the NFL, and that's not necessarily true.
Right.
It's in the nuances of the way that you run routes. And Mike Williams may not be anywhere near a 4.3 guy, but he's pretty good at creating separation when he needs to.
Would he be a guy the Eagles could afford?
Probably not.
That would be the question. Yeah,
it's going to be a matter of like what kind of money would Mike Williams be looking at in this type of market, and then how much cap space can we actually create? Yeah, exactly. The other side of it.
Capital Region Paranormal. I love the name. I'm all about the paranormal stuff. So thank you for super chat. He says, "Hey Philly 500 and Gate City Sports. What's up, my man? How are you? Eagle Slayer 95, man. Thank you for the super chat, man. Appreciate it." He says, "Shout out to the man himself. Best player available, period." Absolutely. I agree. And we're gonna get into that in a second. Thank you for super chat. Psycho System of the Knot, my man. What's up, everyone? What is going on with you, my man? Thank you. I think I caught up on these. Oh, wait, one more. Trayvon Dixon, man. Thank you for the super chat. Hey, Philly 500, how you doing? I am great, my man. How are you? All right. So let me see. Do I have anything else here? Oh, wait, one more thing, man. These are coming. You guys are killing me. You guys are awesome today. Thank you. Who is it? I got one more here. Joshua Stewart, welcome to Dingbat Nation, buddy. Thank you for joining. Welcome to Dingbat Nation. And look, if you guys haven't, we got over 200 people here. If you haven't, make sure you click the link in the description and sub up Gate City Sports. I promise you, you're not going to regret it, especially with all the draft, all the breakdowns he does. It's fantastic stuff. It really, really is. So yeah, so that's Jalen Hurts. I mean, he's got a lot of potential. We agree, but he needs to go out and do it. Right? He needs more time. He's only had 4 games. You can't really hand a franchise over to a guy, without that. Now, let me ask you a question. What's that?
It's tough. What do you do? It is tough because on one hand, it's not the most ideal situation, but on the other hand, when you start evaluating rookies or you start evaluating draft prospects, that's a tricky business.
Right.
That's a really tricky business to say that one guy is an upgrade over another guy because, hey, man, there's a lot that you can't account for until you see a guy behind center playing with the bright lights on him.
Yeah. Joshua Stewart says, "What's up, Gate City? 100. You the man. He is the man."
What's good, Joshua?
Gate City Sports is the man. Yeah, that's interesting. Here, now I want to ask you, I'm going to change gears a little bit because I know a lot of people are getting a lot of questions about the draft. But before we get into the draft, I want to know your opinion on the salary cap because we're seeing the Eagles. A lot of us, including myself, thought that they really were going to take a step back, just release a lot of guys, and kind of rebuild this thing over the next few years. But it looks like they've gone ahead and they're just restructuring the same old guys, keeping the same old guys, pushing that money down the road. And I personally hate it when they do that. However, when you start reading about this specific year and with the pandemic and the cap coming down and expected to be maybe like $220 million next year, and then you look at all the money that they're eating, was like $40 million in dead cap. It seems like to me that maybe it's not a bad idea if they do it this one more year and then that's kind of it. You know what I mean?
So I think there's a couple things going on, to be honest with you, 500. I think to begin with, I think we're going to go over 50 million in dead cap. I'm going to be honest with you. I think we're going to go over 50 million in dead cap.
Who do you think is coming?
Brandon Graham's a definite. And then they got to figure out what they're going to do with Derek Barnett. He's the other guy to where it may not necessarily be dead money just because he has no dead money on his contract, obviously. But, you know, they got to figure out if they're going to extend this kid. Are you just restructuring him for 1 year? I don't see even how you restructure that, to be quite honest. But they got to figure it out. Are they cutting him? Are they trading him? Like, those decisions got to be made, and they got to be made fast. What surprised me, the 500 was the Lane Johnson news. Lane Johnson is not going to rework his contract because we don't need it.
Yeah,
that's news to me.
Right. I think there's still like $10 million over, somewhere around there, but you got to be enough over that you can sign all your picks.
Exactly.
So, Now the one thing that they say, they apparently don't they roll over money? Are they rolling over 24 million from last year or something?
So that's already counted. Yeah, so that's already counted into what they have.
That's already counted in.
Yeah. So the way that the league office has, so the league office released their reports to I think it was Yates. I think Yates on Twitter reported it. But right now the Eagles are reporting that they're 18 million over, but that's not counting the Carson Wentz trade. So that'll take them down they'll be 17 or so million over once that gets accounted for.
Right.
The issue being is you still got to clear $18 million, and that's just to be even. That's just to be even. Yeah. And I can't see it, man. I'm going to just to spoil the suspense. It's a really complicated formula for how you figure out how much a first round draft pick is going to cost. It's a really complicated formula, guys. Yeah. But I can tell you the last two guys that were selected around pick number 6, which was Danny Dimes, believe it or not, and then Justin Herbert. Those guys are averaging a little over $6 million a year.
Right.
That's about what kind of money you're going to need just to sign the 6th pick.
Right.
I'll throw a hot topic on you. Do you think the Eagles trade back just for the simple fact that it's $6 million to pick at number 6?
I think it's very possible. My brother thinks that's exactly what they're going to do. But I would not be surprised at all. Trayvon Dixon, man, thank you for super chat. He says, I joined Tinfoil Dingbat Squad. I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you. Joseph Vega, I see you in here, buddy. What's going on? Eagle Lifer, thank you for the super chat. Bitcoin to the moon. What up, Philly? Go Birds. Thank you, Eagle Lifer, for the super chat. Bitcoin definitely to the moon. You ain't kidding. So that's interesting, what you just said there.
Yeah, go back to your point about Howie Roseman. Not only is it complicated because you can look at it in the positive and say you're accumulating picks, but now you're taking on the fact that we're making financial decisions because of, let's be real. I love the way Howie can bend the will of the cap to him, but he executed the contracts with some of these veterans, not being able to give up on them, trying to extend the window that's put us in this situation.
Right.
So now you got a situation where you're trading, you potentially could be, we don't know it to be factual, but potentially they might be looking to trade back to save that money to not have to pay the $6 million for that spot. Now you could fall out of a completely different tier tier of players.
Right.
And you still, at the end of the day, we can argue of whether or not Howie, is it Howie? Was it the coaching? Is Howie even making the picks? I mean, there's a lot going on with that, but it's not good. It's not good given our history.
I mean, if Howie really kind of took over was around 2010, 2011. Then he had the brief stint where they put him in the boiler room. And then he came back. I mean, a lot of the same issues that were there beforehand are back again. How people get along with him, right? GMs who are football guys don't want to work with him. I feel like Jeffrey Lurie gives this guy a pass at all costs. And to me, you're allowing Howie Roseman to fix the mistakes that he made. And then instead of fixing it, they're kind of pushing everything back 1 year. And I understand you're going to have a little more wiggle room in a year, but is it going to end there? Or are we going to keep doing this? I really want this team to get younger. And I got to say, when we talk about the draft, I do not want them to trade back. This team is in major need of top-end talent. They're in need of top-end talent. And I don't trust Howie Roseman to go back to 12 and then pick the right guy. He doesn't pick the right guy. We need the least amount of picks to go by before he picks. I don't think he can screw up the 6th pick. I think there are a lot of good guys. Well, maybe he can, but the 12th pick he can, and there's no way that teams like the Giants and Dallas should be picking ahead of us. So I hope you're wrong. Unfortunately, I think that there's an absolutely a chance. Trevon Dixon, thank you for super chat. One Powerhouse, thank you for the super chat, my man. He says, "What's up, Philly? 5 million mods, Gate City. Eagles will be a sleeper. A good scheme with our young players can do more than you think. Develop talent, man." Thank you for the super chat, man. Appreciate that. Wait, got one more. Chris Ward, thank you for the super chat, man. He says Trey Sermon or Ramondre Stevenson in the 3rd or 4th round if Howie knows what is best. Thank you for the super chat, man.
I like both of those picks for those values. I'll add complexity to it, or if you will, an olive branch for people. The biggest way of stopping this momentum is by clearing enough appropriate cap space for this not to be a consideration. If we're only sitting there with like 10 million in cap space, and you know that your 1st round pick could potentially cost you $6 million, like I said, guys, it could come in a little under this year just because there's a lot of complexity to how they formulate the value of the picks, the contracts, and that could play into it. But the best thing to do is to create as much cap space as you can. So it was just it's not an issue, right? So that way, if you trade back, it's because the guys that you had on your board kind of fell off, and you just want to get back because you feel like you can get another guy in a later pick and still acquire more talent. I'm okay with going from like 6 to 8 and picking up, like, say we trade our 6th round pick and our 1st round pick for Carolina's 1st round pick and our 3rd round pick. If I still got a number of guys on the board, where I know I'm still going to get, like, at worst, I'm going to get Waddle, or I'm going to, you know what I mean? Like, I know I'm going to get a playmaker, or I can get a defensive stud. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be okay with that. But man, we're talking about going back 12th or later. Like you said, like, you're talking about the perceived success rate going extremely down. It's still a lot better to pick 12 than it is to pick 20, but it's a lot better to pick 6 than it is to pick 12. Let's just be real.
Yeah. Jeremiah Butler, man, thank you for super chat. He says, "I don't think Howie can screw up the 6th pick. Howie, hold my beer." Yeah, exactly. Well, I hope so. Trayvon Dixon, thank you for super chat, my man. Appreciate you. And then Jeremiah Butler, one more super chat. 2 of my favorite creators. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. Oh, you don't have to donate. You've done great, Trayvon. Thanks, buddy. So before we get in the draft, one more question. I want to talk a little bit about this coaching staff. Nick Sirianni, what are your thoughts overall? What do you like about? What don't you like about this coaching staff compared to what we had in Doug Peterson?
What I like about this coaching staff, I'll be quick and direct about it. I love the player development aspects of what they're about. They went out and they specifically sought guys that are here to develop players, and I think that's a good trend. I think that was one of the glaring, holes we had underneath Doug Peterson, to be honest. Outside of Jeff Stoutland and Deuce Staley, I think we struggled a little bit with player development. Yeah. What I will say is that I love the scheme in terms of it being, he's going to run a lot of, like, you're going to see a lot of drag routes. You're going to see a lot of corners. You're going to see a lot of the quick timing passes going on here. Mm-hmm. He's going to play a lot of matchup ball. Tight ends, running backs. He's going to look for, basically what he's going to want his quarterbacks to do is identify the matchup and get the ball there. Mm-hmm. That's really what he's going to want to do. I just think it's a very simplified system that's going to be pretty easy for any young quarterback to operate. I don't think it's that difficult. Like, if we're failing, I don't think as long as Jalen Hurts is playing within the system, if we're failing, it won't be because of Jalen Hurts. It'll be because Nick Sirianni's not scheming it.
Right.
I think that's what you want with a young quarterback.
Right.
Now, you could say the downside to that is that number one is the nomenclature they're going to use. So nomenclature just meaning the way that they label and name the plays. They're going more to a Marty Schottenheimer style of things. So that can be a little more complex, a little more difficult. And you got a young quarterback that only in his 2nd year is being asked to learn another nomenclature of plays.
Right.
That can be viewed as a downside. The other thing I could say that would probably be viewed as a downside here would be the simplicity of the scheme. If you're not really attacking teams from multiple angles with the same play, but hitting them from multiple angles with that play, if a team picks up what you're doing, and let's be real, man, they pay a lot of guys to sit down and watch your film and try to pick up tendencies.
Yeah, they do.
What you're you're doing and you're not that complex and you can't make adjustments, that could, and that's something we don't know. I don't know what Nick Sirianni is as a play caller. I love his mind, though. I love hearing this guy talk football. I mean, when he talks football, he's much more relaxed, and you can tell that there's like a twinkle to him. Like there's a twinkle in his eye. You can tell he loves it. He breathes and lives this stuff. But those two things do concern me: the nomenclature of what's going on. You can definitely say that the general age of this group. We don't really have the gray-haired veteran out there outside of maybe Stoutland.
Right.
You know what I mean? We got a lot of younger guys.
Younger
Gannon's young. Sirianni's young, Steichen's young. The special teams coordinator we hired, he's really young. I mean, there's a lot of youth.
Right.
So, I mean, this is either going to be like the thing that everyone will emulate later. They're going to be like, wow, that really worked. And they're going to emulate it, or it'll be one of those things where they'll be like, you remember that time when the Eagles hired like 20 coaches under like 40?
Yeah. It's a lot of young coaches. I don't mind it though, because I think you're right. I think a lot of it had to do with player development, and I kind of see it in a weird way too. That it's kind of how he passing the buck. He's like saying, "Hey, I'm drafting these guys. You're not developing them, so it's on you, Doug Peterson. It's not on me."
Yeah.
But we're gonna see if they can actually develop what he drafts. Last King asked, Philly 500, do you think we should trade back and get as many picks as possible? I do not. I do not, because I do not trust the guy making the pick. So to me, it's scary to have a lot of picks and have many guys go off the board. I don't think so. I do not at all. And Cruz at 26, man, thank you for the super chat. He says, you guys better draft a quarterback at 6. Well, that segues right into where I want to go with you here, because I want to talk about that 6th pick. Do you think it's possible they take a quarterback?
Possible? Sure. Do I think that that's like absolutely 100% going to happen? No. It's always a possibility. Like, we know the history. It's been over 30 some years since we selected a position outside of defensive line, offensive line, or quarterback. But every draft is different. And that's what I asked in one of my videos. And I had some really good responses from people like Jalen Williams and other guys I know that are part of the community that are very, very smart. They're very intelligent football minds. And they were like, look, I understand everything you're saying, and you're right. That's the history. You can't deny the history of the organization. But this is just a different draft. And to begin with, there's just not that much defensive line talent.
Right.
And while you have a really good offensive lineman in Penei Sewell, what do we really know about Slater? Are you really going to draft a guy that may not play left tackle or even right tackle in the top 10 picks? You know what I mean? Like, there's the kid out of Virginia Tech whose name's slipping my mind right now. Hang on. I have him written down here.
The corner?
No, not the corner. He's Darisol, the offensive lineman. He's a tackle. Very athletic guy. In some ways, he makes a lot of sense for the Eagles. I don't have him valued as a top 10 guy.
Right.
I think PFF or Draft, one of the major publications does have him as a top 10. I have him more as a top 20, but I don't know as a guy you would take at 6.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, well, that's 2 of your position groups that are kind of down unless Penei Sewell slides or you reach or you trade back, right? So that really only leaves quarterbacks. My problem is, and I'll ask you what your opinion is. I heard Lord Brunson speak on it, and he said he really only has Trevor Lawrence locked in as a top 10 quarterback prospect in his opinion. Now, he's not saying he's the only one that'll go in the top 10.
Right.
He's saying that he's the only one he feels like should be really like where you say like he's one of the 10 best players in the draft. Right. I would say there's 2 and arguably 3. Mm-hmm. 2, I think Zach Wilson is definitely a top 10 player.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love Zach Wilson. I love Zach Wilson.
There's a million questions about the level of competition he played, and I get that you can't really refute that until you see him playing an NFL field. Right. But what I can say is that when you just break down what he's doing with the football, the competition doesn't matter because he's putting the ball placement correctly.
Right.
It's not like the competition was really going to change that per se.
Yeah.
Now, what I will say is it gets really questioned, and it's like, who is your number 3? That's where it is. It Justin Fields? Is it Trey Lance? Yeah. I don't view Trey Lance as a top 10 player. I view him as a top 10 talent, and that's different. Right. Talent doesn't always translate. It doesn't always work out. I've got a lot of people recently that's chimed in and said, like, Gate, what about Jamarcus Russell? Like, do you think that there could be some comparisons to Jamarcus Russell compared to Trey Lance? And I'm like, physically, yes. Big, tall, strong guys. I mean, you remember when Jamarcus Russell was throwing like 50-yard passes from his knees building up to the draft? Like, yes, I understand the physical comparisons. Right. Absolutely. But Jamarcus Russell, I don't think failed because of anything to do with the NFL. It was all the stuff outside of the NFL. It was all the stuff surrounding him, right? That really led to his decline.
Right.
I don't think that you have that kind of concern with Trey Lance. I just question if he has the requisite experience. I don't know enough about him, man. He only averaged 18 attempts. He had one of the best running offenses, not just in FCS,
right,
in college football flat out. If you watch their film and the way that they manipulated and ran the quarterback power and stuff, like, man, there was no one better. I'm sorry. They were up there.
Right.
I would stack them against any other team in the country when it comes to running. But the problem is that that's going to make you successful when you look at things like turnover-worthy passes.
Right.
It's going to make you successful in your turnovers, right? One turnover, I think, in his entire college career, only 4 turnover-worthy passes in all of 2019.
Wow.
I mean, he's such a hard assessment to make.
Yeah.
All the physical talents. All you could want.
Well, and if you're going to look at level of competition with Zach Wilson, you got to say the same thing with him. If you look at a lot of his video, he runs over guys.
Yeah, he beat nobody.
and he's going to he's not going to be able to do that in the NFL, you know?
Yeah, exactly. He beat nobody. That's a straight fact. He beat nobody.
I think he's somewhere like, I see him as between like a 12 and a 20 pick. That's where I think he should go.
Unless GM falls in love. I agree with you 100%. Unless a GM absolutely falls in love.
And that always happens. It always happens. It could be Archie.
My fear is as I look at a kid like that, and it's just like, how do you evaluate him as a scout? Like, I don't have enough film, and the offense wasn't that complex. He didn't operate a complex passing game. Like, it just wasn't that difficult to operate that offense. And it's like, he has all the physical tools. Yeah. I still think that he processes things a little too slow. I still think that his pro day, I mean, he got a lot of flack for his pro day, but I actually thought he did better than what people anticipated he would do. And they pushed him. I will caution people this about his pro day. Take one thing into consideration when you judge his pro day. They made him do more things that you don't normally see at pro days. Yeah. They pushed him harder than they did other quarterbacks.
That's probably because they don't have a lot on them.
Exactly. So I don't know how GMs are viewing that. I have no clue how they're viewing it. But I can tell you this. If I was in control of that pick in the top 10, I might completely regret this statement come next year. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Not in the top 10.
I wouldn't do it either.
Then I wouldn't do it. Fields. Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields, like, I've heard a lot of nonsense about Justin Fields. It's infuriating sometimes just because, like, man, anyone can say anything. And then, like, if you're not there to really fact check them, like, they're going to get away with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't come off his first reads. Thank God people are finally starting to say, like, why would you come off your first reads if it's open, though? Like,
exactly. Yeah.
There's complexity to it, right?
I like Justin Fields, to be honest.
It was the same thing they said about Jalen Hurts, by the way. He doesn't come off his first read. I do agree that he processes things a little slow, but I'm not going to sit here and try to tell people that, like, this guy never makes it. Like, I thought Jalen Hurts was pretty good at high-lowing a defender, which that's 2 reads. Mm-hmm. You're basing it upon what the defender does. I thought he was really good at high-lowing defenders. Now, is he going through a full NFL level progression? Like, no, but he had CD Lamb. How many times was CD Lamb really losing on the field? Like, come on. Like, of course he wasn't off his first read that often.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Mark Jeffrey, thank you for the super chat, man. He says, big fan of both you guys. What do we do about Jake Elliott and special teams in general? And who do you see as a vet quarterback to help Hurts in 2021? Thank you so much, my man. I appreciate it. I would like to see them bring Mariota in. I would like to see him bring Mariota because I think Hurts would still start. And I would love to see some competition at kicker. I would, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah. In terms of a veteran quarterback, I only really have a couple people in mind, and I think Jacoby Brissett has experience with the system. I think he's good enough to plug in a game or two, but he's not going to threaten. He's not better than Jalen Hurts, guys. Right. And listen, Jalen. So here's what you have to understand here, guys. When I talk about these quarterbacks like Jacoby Brissett started at Florida, transferred to NC State. Okay. I'm a huge Jacoby Brissett fan. I'm an NC State alum, guys. Big fan of him. He's not as good as Jalen Hurts. He's not. He's just not. His stealing is not to the same point. Right. I also like the idea of bringing in, like, I've heard people talk about if Teddy Bridgewater if he got released, would that be a guy you bring in? I don't know enough about Teddy Bridgewater to say that like he's the mentoring type, but I think he's a professional. So I think he would come in and he would play the role if he couldn't get an opportunity to compete. But obviously he would probably prioritize like opportunities to compete as a starting quarterback over coming here. And then there's what's his name? The kid, he's up in San Diego now. Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me.
I like Tyrod Taylor. I would not mind him.
I would stick to those type of guys. To be honest with you, I think you want to keep guys that can actually who can actually operate the scheme in which you're going to run. Right. If you set your scheme to be one way because Jalen Hurts is your starting quarterback, it's probably not ideal to have to do a complete, like 180.
Right.
If you got another guy coming in off the bench, that's really hard to do. I'm not saying you can't do it. I mean, but it's difficult to do.
Yeah. So we got over 300 people in here right now. If you haven't, click the link in the description. Make sure you sub up my man, Gate City Sports. Great content creator. You won't regret it. Let me get to the super chat real quick. Kevin Bacon, man, thank you for super chat. He says, I like our young coaching staff. Great coaches like Schwartz and Pete Carroll's are outdated, and it shows. It's time for a new era. I like the young guys too. I like them too. No question about it, man. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. So we both agree that we don't want a quarterback at 6, right? Even though I would not rule it past the Eagles to do it. I still think
one exception. I'll give you one exception. If Zach Wilson slid down the board to 6, I'm probably making that pick. But to be honest with you,
I really like him. I really like him.
To be honest with you, the likelihood of that happening, it's not going to happen. No, it's not going to happen.
I'm anticipating at least three quarterbacks in the first 3 picks. I think, quarterbacks tend to rise in the draft. They always do. So I think you're going to have Lawrence 1, Wilson 2, whether that's the Jets trading that pick or not. And then you have a team like Miami. If there's a team that wants Fields that thinks Atlanta might grab him, I could see somebody jumping, which takes us to the Eagles at 6. Give me your top 3 to 4 guys you would want at 6, if you can, if you have them.
Top 3 to 4 guys. I'll give you like a draft board, like a 5.
Okay.
Look, like I said, Zach Wilson, I would absolutely draft. It's not going to happen, but he'd be on my draft board. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
Penny Sewell, probably not going to happen. He'd absolutely be on my draft board.
Right.
Jamar Chase might happen. Still doubtful. Might happen.
You think it's doubtful? Okay.
Quarterbacks, he might slide down the board if there's a run on quarterbacks. Jamar Chase would definitely be on that draft board for me. I know people find this controversial. I like Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is going to be potentially a more talented passing version of Colin Kaepernick. I would not take him at 6. I just wouldn't. I like the kid. I think he's going to be good. I just think that's an overvaluation of him. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to tell you who I would probably put my 4th guy on. And this is, I know some people like this one. Some people hate this one. Kyle Pitts.
There you go. That's my guy.
Kyle Pitts would be there. And then my 5th guy, I would take it between a combination of Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Now, if we assume that Zach Wilson and Penei Sewell are not there, and we're only talking about like Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Waddle, that's why I would probably bring in some defensive guys. Mm-hmm. I think that's when you got to consider Marley. I think it's when you got to consider guys like Patrick Surtain. I don't think Mekhi Parsons is not going to probably go in the top 10. It's unlikely that a linebacker would carry that kind of value. And I can't, in good faith, knowing the Eagles, man, that would be such a departure from our history. I just can't see it.
Yeah.
I like the player though. I just can't I can't put him on the board knowing what they do and how they operate. But he is an impact player.
Yeah. I like the kid from Notre Dame better.
Oh, you're talking about
Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I would say, I love that kid. I know he's only 215 pounds, but he don't play like it. I think he's an absolute stud. He's my favorite linebacker as of right now. I haven't really watched Collins yet. Mm-hmm. But I love him. Andrew says the Eagles are going to have 2 first-rounders next year. They should not even consider drafting a quarterback in the first round this year. I wouldn't draft a quarterback, but I understand if a guy like Zach Wilson falls to you, I could totally see that happening.
I would say this. I don't know that next year's class is anywhere near as good as this year's class. So that's the concern with such a theory. I do agree that you have to evaluate Jalen Hurts, in this class as well,
right?
Because that's basically what you're making a decision upon. And like I said, I think that unless Zach Wilson fell down the board,
right,
I think I would just bring a guy in to develop behind Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, that's
there's a couple of names I can give you guys of people that I really like. One guy right off the bat I can tell you that I think has all the arm talent in the world. He's a work in progress. You're gonna have to work with him a little bit. That's Jamie Newman. It's Jamie Newman. I really love Jamie Newman's film a lot. I think that this guy has a tremendous arm. There was no quarterback I evaluated that threw more far hash throws than Jamie Newman. It was pretty incredible to see how often he was running it. The problem is he never played a down at Georgia, and I really wish he had that opportunity because, yes, I'm biased. I'm an NC State guy. I coached and taught in Winston-Salem, which is where Wake Forest University is located. I hate Wake Forest's system. It's boring. It's predictable. It's just it's not a good way of evaluating a guy. But I will say one of the knocks on Jamie Newman is that when Surratt, not the UNC linebacker, his other brother, when Surratt left the game, he wasn't quite the same. Like his number dipped big time. Right. That's going to be the pick there. Now I'll tell you, the guy that I put a video out 2 days before Chris Sims released his stupid quarterback list and blew up my guy. Right. I had Kellen Mond. I was like, yo, I love Kellen Mond in like the third or fourth round. And then Chris Sims blew this guy's name up. There's no way that dude's making it to the fourth round. He might make it to the early third, but he's not gonna make it to the fourth round. And I'm looking more day 3 picks at quarterback. Right. Like I said, if Zach Wilson fell down the board, that would be one thing. But
think they would draft like Kyle Trask? You think they would draft Trask?
Here's the problem I have with Trask. Love the kid's story, but he just, if we're uncomfortable with a guy like Trey Lance, how do you feel comfortable with Kyle Trask? Kyle Trask played 1 year in high school and then backed up De'Aaron King. Right. He backed up De'Aaron King, and then he goes to Florida. Now I will give Trask this: when he got his shot, he took advantage of it. Yeah. But I just don't know that there's enough. I don't know if there's enough about him, and like he is not a dynamic athlete, man. Like oh my god, like I don't think he's particularly bad in the pocket because I think he sees things quickly and he gets the ball out of his hands, but anytime you need him to kind of elude a guy for just a second, I don't trust his athleticism to do that. He's a bit of a statue back there, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I could see that. Jeremiah Butler, thank you for Super Chat. He says, I hate Kyle Pitts at 6, said no Eagles fan ever. There are a few that have said that, but thank you for the Super Chat. Philly 52, man, thank you for Super Chat. I like Trask or Hellinger at backup. Good enough to be a good backup, but not a starter, maybe in the third round. Hurts in the Senior Bowl was bad. Should we worry? I don't think we should worry about Hurts in the Senior Bowl. Do you think so? I'm not. I mean,
I don't worry about what they did prior to that. Like, my thing with Hurts is he's got one thing to prove. He's got to process things faster and get the ball out of his hands in the system. If he does that, the kid's going to be really tough to stop, man, because the fact is, think about it. When you get a quarterback who's in the realm of being like, okay, this guy could potentially be a franchise quarterback. What sets them apart is can they make the play when you need the play made in the big game? I do think that Jalen Hurts seems to have that potential there. He's like, the one thing I'll give him is man, he really fought against Arizona. I think to me that was the most as disappointing as the next game was, because I thought Dallas was very disappointing when you really broke down what happened to him. Yeah, he was really impressive against Arizona. Yeah, way more so than I thought he was even against New Orleans. New Orleans, I think it was just impressive the way the team rallied around him and they knocked off probably one of the better teams in the NFL. But I thought in Arizona, it spoke more to like his development, where he is and how much work he had put in from his senior year. Even go back, how much work he put in since the time he got benched at Alabama to the time that he took snaps in that Arizona game. Like, he clearly went through a tremendous amount of development. Right. And I thought that game, that game really showed that maybe there's something there, right? I'm not going to go overboard and go crazy about it, but maybe there's something there. Like, you could definitely see elements of it kind of coming out.
Right. Gotcha. Mr. Michael New York, thank you for Super Chat. He says, I think Zach Wilson is special. I agree with that. I think you're right. Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase are also special. They have to get one of the three. Mr. Michael New York, thank you for super chat. I agree. So let me ask you a question. Let's say Jamar Chase and Kyle Pitts are both on the board at the same time when the Eagles are picking, and you can't trade up. You got to make that pick. Trade back. You got to make that pick. Who are you taking?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I believe Kyle Pitts is a unique talent that you don't see come through the draft a lot, yeah. Right? I know the things that people are going to say is that the thing is that you just don't draft tight ends that high. But I don't view him as a tight end. Right. I view him as a hybrid. He's a hybrid player, and you just don't see a lot of those.
Yeah.
It just sucks because if Jamar Chase played this season, I don't even think that this is a question. I think people would definitely say Jamar Chase. But he didn't play. That's the thing. And man, I got to be honest with you, 500. Number one, I'll take either player.
Yeah, I mean, it's a win-win.
I'd probably take Kyle Pitts over in this situation, just given what we know. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and push back against people that say, like, dude, we've had so much trouble with wide receivers. If you can get a stud, you get them. Yeah. The problem is that I just fear that we can get a guy like Chase underneath the second contract. I mean, unless we change our perception of the way that we value the position, can we give that guy, if he turns out to be what we think he is, like, is he, can we even get to that contract to getting that money? Like, I mean, I wonder about those kind of things, but you can also make the same argument for but for the same argument for Pitts too, that, well, you got Goddard here. So if you're already paying Goddard, like, what's the likelihood that you pay Pitts on the second contract as well?
Yeah.
I mean, you can make that argument both ways.
Yeah, I agree. Bad Dog Sports. Good God, the Eagles stink. Laugh out loud. Pound Moondog. Moondog 21. That's right. Moondog 21, 25% off all merchandise. And that's in honor of Bad Dog because Bad Dog works for NASA. Hey, Bad Dog, I want to reach out to you, man. I want to get you on a show for like a Know Your Enemy episode of your stinking Giants, Mr. Michael New York, thank you for super chat. He says Kyle Pitts over Chase. However, Chase is a safer bet. Yeah, I can see that. I think Chase is a stud. Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree with that statement wholeheartedly.
I do too. He is a safer pick. I just think, like you said, Kyle Pitts is so unique of a talent that you don't see come around that often. If I viewed him strictly as a tight end, I would say Chase all day. But I don't. I think he's, like you said, a hybrid. I think he could play wide receiver. He could play outside. I think he could play inside. I think he could do it all. A lot of people say, well, maybe he's not fast enough. But if you look at him and he looks like a wide receiver. Like you said, you don't need to have 4.3 speed. I mean, you already got a guy on the other side with Rager and stuff who has that speed. You put a 6'6", 240-pound, maybe you tell him to drop 10 pounds or something to get a little quicker.
Exactly.
He could play it all. Guy averaged like 18 yards of reception.
I will say this is that, man, did Kyle Trask really depended upon Pitts anytime that there was a conversion situation. He really did. Right. And if you just look at what Pitts did to defenders down the field, it's crazy because like there are some really good prospects in this draft, and it's not just Pitts. To be honest, there's a couple of them. And somebody in the comment section mentioned this player. So I want to bring it up and I'm going to give them my perspective on this player because I just watched the game with them. So tomorrow morning, guys, I'm going to actually have a video about Michael Carter, who's a UNC running back. The game I broke down on Michael Carter was against Miami, and I was excited to see that game because I wanted to see Brevin Jordan play. Brevin Jordan is another one of these guys that's not a blocking tight end. This is not an inline Y tight end. This is a movement tight end. What I will say, what separates a guy like Brevin Jordan, what I should say what separates Kyle Pitts from a Brevin Jordan is Kyle Pitts has this tremendous catch radius. He's a complete utter matchup problem in the red zone. And this guy, his wingspan, it's crazy what he can do to a defender. Brevin Jordan is a very good too. Brevin Jordan is a good movement piece. Definitely a guy in the third or fourth round if he ended up getting a fourth round pick somehow. Sure. I like Brevin Jordan. I do like what I saw on film from him, but definitely I would much rather have a Kyle Pitts there, to be quite honest. But it's tough though, man, because I could see so many arguments though. 500. I could see someone saying Gabe, but you can get you can get a guy that can be a red zone target, right? And chase. And then you can go back and get a Brevin Jordan later to be like a movement kind of piece that just fools defenses and catches them off guard. Right. And I get that. I get that perspective. Right. But you can argue that this is the problem I had with the draft, right? You can argue this 1,000,001 ways because I can also get a Kyle Pitts and then later on go get a receiver. This is a deep receiver class.
Right.
It's tough, right, man? Because like if we had a GM that didn't, I don't even know if it's the GM. That's the problem. It could have just been development too. Right. And it could have been the owner sticking himself into the situation and maybe being that tie-breaking vote when we thought it was Hallie, but really maybe it was Lori. But I just wonder, like, man, I don't know how much time I want to spend on the Eagles messing up the picks.
That's my issue. I feel like we can't afford to be messing around. We just got to get the best player available. I'm not concerned about what holes we're filling, especially with that first pick. I'm not concerned. Well, we need a linebacker, so let's draft for a linebacker. I don't think it matters. I think you just got to get the best player on the board. Now, absolutely. I have another. I'm going to give you another quick scenario real quick, but let me do this super chat real quick. Jeremiah Butler, man, thank you so much for super chat. Says, not opposed to any of the top receivers, but I rather have Pitts and Tony. Thank you for super chat, man. I appreciate that. I don't know a lot about Tony. We'll have to look. I'll have to look.
Really good vertical slot. Good vertical slot.
I have to check him out. Mm-hmm. So here's another one. I'm going to give you. Let's say Chase goes early, and let's say Sewell drops. So you have Sewell or Pitts on the board. Who are you taking?
Penny Sewell drops.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's tough, man. I'm going to say Penny Sewell just because. Well, here's the thing. I know what the Eagles would likely do in this situation. It's probably going to be Penny Sewell. Just because you're looking at paying someone $6 million, you're going to want it to be a tackle. Like I said, man, there's so many arguments you can make, which is like, man, if you still got Lane Johnson on the roster, Jack Driscoll on the roster, Andre Dillard on the roster, Jordan Mulatto on the roster, like, is it necessary? Well, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know what's left in Lane Johnson. This is a third straight season with that stupid ankle injury he's had. Mm-hmm. I wish him the best of luck because he's definitely one of my favorite players, and I think that he's got a fight to him that, it's been great to watch since his time he got drafted here. But I'm just wondering, man, 3 straight seasons with this ankle. I'm wondering if it's not over. Brandon Brooks, love the dude. That dude's he's like superhuman. I don't understand how this guy heals the way he heals.
I know.
The problem is he keeps getting injured and needing. That's the issue. So it's kind of like I don't know, man. Like a Penny Sewell, like I guess you could take him, put him at left tackle. You could move a guy like Jordan Mulatto to right tackle. That's
what I would do, yeah.
But that's tough, man. I'm going to say that they would probably definitely go Penny Sewell in that situation just because the level of talent that is.
I think he's the one guy that I might take because he's an absolute stud. I think I could understand that pick. I don't want any of the other offensive linemen at 6, though. I got to tell you, like there's people talking about Slater and stuff. I'm not interested in him in 6. Mark Jeffrey, thank you for super chat. He says, should we be scared of Dallas next season? I say they're a bust. Never be scared of Dallas.
Scared's a strong word.
Yeah, I'm not scared of Dallas at all. They'll find a way to screw it up.
Yeah. Can they build a defense?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's really
they're already telling me. I'm already getting Cowboy fans saying they're taking Pitts. And we're not going to get him. They're going to get him. We'll see. We got 375 people in here.
Here's what I would ask them. What good is it to put up 38 points if your opponents put up 41 on your defense?
Right. Every week. Exactly. Mm-hmm. I think did they have like 4 or 5 straight games last year was like over 35 points were scored upon them. I mean, that's horrible. Mm-hmm. We have 373 people here. If you haven't, please please subscribe. Let's get them likes up to 200. And make sure you click the link in the description. Sub up my man, Gate City Sports. You are not going to be disappointed at all. So let me ask you this. I assume you like Chase better than Smith. What are your thoughts on Devontae Smith?
Ooh, hard assessment to make. Here's my thing with Devontae Smith. He's been productive. So there's the theory out there. Guys, I'm not claiming that this is true. I'm just claiming if you guys want to track something, you want to see something interesting, here's the theory that scouts are saying. They're saying that the best way to judge the success of a college wide receiver is to actually look at their production early on in their careers in college. So if they don't produce early, that's normally a good indicator that they will not work out in the NFL. Now, obviously, there's exceptions to every rule, but that is a predominant theory that's out there right now. What I will ask people, and this is what scares me about Devontae Smith, is that when you look at the film, it's tremendous. But why did it take for one guy to go down for the other guy to start producing that level? That's my only concern there. And then you have the whole thing about sub 180-pound receivers in the first round, and
right
there, especially when you talk about top 10. You're talking about like John Ross and guys like that. That's Ted Ginn. Ted Ginn was a good receiver. Don't get me wrong, but not necessarily worth the top 10 pick.
Right.
There's those type of issues, but there's just something about him, man. He's just a different dude, right?
Yeah.
He's 180 pounds, but the dude has like almost a 79-inch wingspan.
Right.
Like ex-receiver type wingspan, man. Like,
yeah.
And you can see the way he extends and goes and picks balls out on fades and stuff, man.
He's also 6'1", though, right?
Yeah, he's like 6'1". Yeah.
So he has the frame to put on 15 pounds, you think?
You would hope. Yeah.
Yeah, would hope. Yeah. I mean, I guess Todd Pinkston was tall too, and he couldn't put on any weight. So it's true. It may be. Esbury the Booth, what is good with you? Thank you for being here. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. What do you like? Who are your favorite corners so far in this draft? Because a lot of people think we should go corner. We just take Surtain, who I think will be there.
It's really tough to say because number one, I'm not 1,000% sure on exactly what type of scheme we're going to run.
Mm-hmm.
It does feel that knowing Rich Gannon. Like, here's my Rich Gannon. I keep calling this man Rich Gannon.
I do the same thing.
So the problem I have is like when I look back at Gannon is that he played a lot more zone than what we saw from Jim Schwartz last year, and he played a lot of too high safety. But the question is, was that him or was that the Flabbergas, whatever that dude's name is? You know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Is that his system or is it that, because in Minnesota, I think they played a little more man in comparison. They're still, most teams are predominantly zone though. I look at that and I have to ask myself, like, then what are the fits at quarterback? So who are the fits? Like, it's tough, man. Cause I look at a guy, I'll be honest with you. There's one guy in particular I think that is a big risk, but I think, man, if you give him safety help, he's really hard to beat. It's Patrick Surtain.
Yeah.
Patrick Surtain, he mirrors receivers better than most corners that I've watched coming out of college. The problem is that you go watch Kyle Pitts and see what Kyle Pitts did to him on vertical concepts. Like, you got to give that guy safety help against more dynamic athletes on those vertical concepts. Caleb Farley. Love the kid, man. Really athletic guy. Hate Virginia Tech. Love the player, though. What I'll say about Caleb Farley is he had a non-contact, like, ACL injury.
Yeah.
Sophomore. Like, that's a little concerning.
Yeah.
On the tape, though, nothing negative to say about him on the tape.
Right.
Horn. Man, if you're playing a man system,
right.
Man, that dude fights. I love the fight in that kid.
Yeah.
He's a fighter. Like, he will get out there and straight throw hands with a receiver.
Yeah.
He would be a fun dude to watch on 1-on-1 or 7-on-7s and can't. Because the first time he gets beat, I guarantee you they're going to scrap.
Yeah.
And he just looks like that type of guy that would do it. Like, he's not going to lay down. Right. The issue is that, like, I can't see the Eagles going corner too high in the draft, like top 10. It just seems very unlikely to me.
Yeah.
So then you're looking at second round value. I heard Asante Samuel Jr. I like him, but he's primarily a man cover.
Yeah.
And you know that we're going to play that much man coverage. So is he really a scheme fit at this point? He was not particularly good in zone.
Right.
Asante Samuel, which is ironic given who his father is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a little ironic. So I guess on one way you can say, yeah, he wasn't good in college, Skate, but Asante Samuel is his dad. I'm pretty sure you can give him some tips. Like, I mean, I guess we can see. Yeah. The kid out of Georgia, Stokes. Boy, that's a crazy 40 time. The only issue I have is that, and I haven't watched a ton of film on him, but I watched 2 games and I watched them play, and I didn't see that type of speed from him.
Right.
So it makes me wonder why did I see a disconnect?
He ran like 4.25, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was something insane, man. It was under a 43. Like that was insane, dude. I think that was a laser. They actually recorded that by laser. That wasn't a hand timer.
Interesting.
Like, holy crap. Like that's nuts, man.
Yeah.
That's a dude like, hey, like, I don't know, man. If you're that kind of athlete, what can Rich Gannon do? Or geez, this dude,
I do the same thing. It's okay.
what can Gannon do with you? Like,
Right.
I mean, I wonder. I just think that, on one hand, I think that the defensive back draft here is better than people think, but I don't know that it's necessarily really deep.
Right.
I think that's your issue. So I think if you don't go, you have to go within the first 3 rounds. I think you have to take a corner within the first 3 rounds, or else you're really getting into like some unknown, uncharted territory in this draft.
Yeah. Esprit Boost says, I watched more Pitts last night. See why you love him. Yeah, I love Pitts. The more time that goes on, the more I love him. It's crazy. So we're about an hour in. We're gonna start rounding this up in a little bit. If you guys have any questions for Gate City Sports, ask it now. Be sure to ask it now, and click the link in the description. Make sure you sub this man up. You will not regret it. A lot of good information. I'm going to ask you, what are your thoughts on the linebackers? Like, who are your favorite linebackers? And specifically, what do you think of this kid from Notre Dame? Because I'm absolutely in love with him. Kamora, I
love him. So the kid from Notre Dame, if you go back and you watch what they did against UNC, UNC is a really good running offense, guys. Like, that entire offense, it went through Williams and Carter. You might know Sam Howell's name. You might know De'Ami Brown. I'm telling you, everything started with that running game at UNC, and they really played well against it. Notre Dame did. I really like him a lot, man. He's quick. He moves fast. He attacks downhill. He's kind of an old school rover. So he's like a combo between a safety and a linebacker.
Yeah.
I like him. I have no clue how he fits Gannon's scheme. That's the thing, is I don't know how he fits Gannon's scheme, because, if he's going to run something similar to what they did in Minnesota, that's a lot of A gap and B gap pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, who knows? I mean, who really knows where his influences are going to be on that? What I will say is, this is a pretty good draft to get a guy. Somebody's going to slip in this draft. I'm telling you, somebody is slipping in this draft down to, what are we, 37 or 38? Somebody's slipping right there to us. I'm telling you. Or we'll at least have the opportunity to trade up into the second and go get a stud defensively. I really do believe that if we wanted to do it, we will have the opportunity. Someone was asking me about Moore, the safety from TCU. I think he's a top 20 player. If that kid makes it to the third or to the second round, I would try to get him personally. I think he's a stud. Now, Zaven Collins, Bolton. There's so many guys. There's the other. I can't think. I'm missing somebody. 500. There's another linebacker I'm missing, but there's a few of them this draft that, man, somebody should slip down the board and be available early in the second round. We have a chance. We have a chance. I just don't know if the Eagles value the position that highly. That's the problem.
I'm hoping that somebody's going to slip, like you said, and that the Eagles are going to take advantage of that second, third round pick and move up and get a guy. If we could end up, I don't care if they have to come back in the first round. They go to the earlier in the second round. Just if you see somebody, don't wait. I hate when they wait and they think somebody's going to fall to them, and then they like the pick or two before he goes. I hate that. Drew has a question for you. What's that?
Okay. Go ahead.
He says, what should the Eagles' top 3 picks be? You guys rock, Uncle Drew. Uncle Drew, thank you, buddy. I mean, my thing is, with the first pick, I'm pretty much set on Sewell, Pitts, Chase, Smith / Waddle, one of those guys. And then as far as the second round and third round pick, I don't know with the third round pick. Second round pick, I want them to make a move to come up and get whoever we just talked about could possibly be falling. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Mm-hmm. I would say same thing. I'm going to say those 3 players are the likely people that are going to. One of those guys is going to slip to 6. There's just no doubt about it. Somebody is going to over evaluate one of these quarterbacks and is going to take a third quarterback. I just have that feeling. I don't know if it'll be Atlanta or someone's going to trade, like a Carolina is going to trade up with Atlanta to go get one of these guys. Somebody's going to overvalue one of these guys, and I have a feeling 3 quarterbacks are going in the top 5.
I do.
That's going to definitely slide the board down.
Yeah.
The question is Jamar Chase make it to us? There's been positive movement from Miami, right? Because Miami's been talking about free agents. Sign them.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
The board down to us.
Definitely.
That's a good situation. Sign them.
Yeah.
Slide the board down to us, because we surely can't sign anyone like that. So slide the board down to us. That would be perfect.
I don't even mind if Miami trades out of that third pick because I don't think Atlanta will go wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, I
They
would
may
say
go Pitts though.
I think it's going to be Kyle Pitts or it's going to be Jamar Chase. I think it's just definitely where they're going to go. Past that second round, I'll give you some names, guys. I don't know until I can see who's available. That's the hard thing. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I'll give you some names though. Morig's there. Definitely want him. Zaven Collins. I think Zaven Collins is a really good fit for what the Eagles are going to do at the linebacker. I think it's what they want. Past Zaven Collins, I'll say Bolton. If Bolton finds a way of slipping out of the first round, another guy. Tremendous value, tremendous player. Makes a lot of sense to me. I really like Richie Grant. I don't know if he's top 40, though. I think that's where it gets a little iffy. But you know what? I mean, the Eagles only have so much they can do with some of these players, and you have to, at some point, you got to take somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can either trade back and target a guy like Richie Grant, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't see a situation where they're going to go offensive players back to back. The only way I think they do that if it's like someone along the offensive line, which I don't think
I agree.
You
don't think they would take another running back, do you?
I like a few of them. I can tell you right now, the guy I'm breaking down for tomorrow's video, you know, man, I only knew about Javonte Williams. And like I knew he was a really good contact balance back, and like, you know, he was like spectacular watching the film on him. Man, when I went back and I watched what Michael Carter did, not only in the Senior Bowl, but his film, holy crap. Holy crap, this kid he's really good. He's a really elusive player. The problem is that at some point, man, we just can't keep getting scat backs.
Right.
But we know who the Eagles were targeting last year in the second round.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have a preference, but my question is will it change? Will it change? Was that a Doug Peterson thing?
Yeah, that's what we don't know. That's what we don't know. Yeah. Jeremiah
now,
Butler.
I'll give you a name in the third round. A guy that I like a lot, and a guy that he's been rising ever since I've watched film on him.
Okay.
Sermon.
Okay.
Sermon.
I haven't watched a lot of them.
I tell you what, man, boy, when he puts it together in games, like I think that he got done a disservice when he went to Ohio State just because he got thrown right into the middle of a kind of like a rotation there. And I do feel like he's the guy that gets better with reps. But man, I'm going to be honest with you. When I turned the film on that kid, I was like, holy crap, man. Go back and watch what he did in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I'll have to check him out.
And in the semifinals of the national championship. The playoffs.
Yeah, I'll have to check him out. Jeremiah Butler, thank you for super chat. Honestly, he says, if you guarantee me Parsons and Jeremiah, okay, I'll take that over everybody. You'll take both those linebackers. Yeah, well, that would be something.
Yeah, you a lot back-to-back linebackers.
I just can't see them taking a linebacker in the first round, let alone, it's just that's not their style,
Yeah, it does make me concerned just because like we had an opportunity last year to snag a difference maker at safety. A guy that I think did he become the defensive rookie of the year, by the way?
Oh yeah, you talking about he did, I think. And like, didn't our scout team want him?
Yeah.
Didn't they? And how he went against it.
Yeah, shout out to Philly Mike, because Philly Mike was the one that put me onto his film, and I was just like, holy crap, like, man, this kid's good. Hey, Takeem Hilton, I like that comparison, man.
Yeah. Question, Brandon says, who do you want in a second? Samuel Jr. or Jabril Cox or Moses? I haven't done enough on Cox or Moses yet. I've watched a lot of Samuel Jr. So I'll give you that question. What do you think? If you had to choose between those three.
If you see, here's the problem is that you got a guy that played well, but he tore his knee up again. He tore it in McLeod. He tore his knee up again. You might have to be safety there. You might have to go with Jabril Cox, to be honest with you, just because the problem is like we need someone that we need a true free safety. Right. I think that's the issue right now. We need a true free safety. Man, I would love to get Morg. I'll be honest with you, man. I'd love to get Morg. I'd like to call him on those options. But I mean, you got to take what's available. I get what they're saying. There's no guarantee Morg or guys like that would be available at our pick. But man, I got to think on that one, guys. I got to think on that one. That's not an easy question.
It's not an easy question. No. Let's see. Here's one. I'm Awake says Sermon or Chuba Hubbard to pair with Miles, Scott, and Huntley. T. Sermon is Aaron Jones 2.0. What do you think of Chuba?
He's a good player. He's a good player, but I mean, because they I don't know why they do this, but they love using Boston Scott for every special teams opportunity they can.
Mm-hmm.
Sermon, but I'll be honest with you, man. I don't know, man. I would love to see Sermon actually get an opportunity to take some kickback, to take some punt returns, and not punt returns. I think we have the solution at punt returner, kick returner. I'd like to actually see him get a crack there. To be honest with you, I'm more partial to Sermon, but to be fair, I need to give Chubb a little bit more film study before I just completely disregard him.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Turbotastic wants to know what's your thinking on taking Andre Cisco in the third. I don't know anything about Andre Cisco. So do you know anything about him?
It's tough, man, because now you guys are getting deeper and deeper into prospects.
they're way past. I'm still stuck in the first round.
He's just. See, here's the thing: is I would need to go back and look. I know exactly what you're talking about, and he's been a ball hawk at Syracuse. I got to see the film, man. I got to see more film on him before I say that. But I love the fact that what he did at Syracuse, given the fact that that's not the greatest football team, to be quite honest. And they had a decent secondary, guys. I mean, they did. They got the one kid too. His name's slipping my mind right now, but the big kid. The kid's like 6'2", and he's got like arms that reach out of the freaking link.
Right.
He's a big kid. I mean, they definitely had when they were healthy, they had a really good secondary.
Yeah. So Danny wants to know, can you ask Gate what he thinks of the quarterback syndrome? We already talked about the quarterbacks, but I'll let you say that real quick.
Sure, Danny. First up, what's up, Danny? How you doing, buddy? I think it's a deep draft class. You ask different content creators, you ask different scouts, you ask different personnel people, they're going to give you different answers, right? We just talked about it. LB says he's got one guy that he thinks is a top 10 talent in this draft class in terms of quarterbacks. I said I have two, and I think 500 was with me where he said two. I said two with a potential third, but I'm honestly, I'm going to stick to my guns and just say two.
Right.
I think Zach Wilson's the only other one I think is a top 10, truly a top 10 talent. It is deep, though. This is a really deep draft. I think that you can easily pluck 6 starters out of this draft. I think 6 guys could potentially be starters down the road from this draft. I don't know if it'll be this season per se, but I'd say by year 3, you're going to see probably about 6 guys from this draft class to turn out to be starters, in my opinion. I think it's a really deep draft. And I think even the developmental guys that you would back up a quarterback with, I'll give you guys, right? Brady White, risky as crap, man. Dude had like crazy good talent. He really is. Brady White was part of that 2015 recruiting class. Like he was up there with like Sam Darnold and all these guys. And he was ranked really highly, guys. This was a highly touted player at one point. Goes to Arizona State. Doesn't work out for him in Arizona State. He transfers to, I believe, Memphis. Plays at Memphis. He's a complete risk taker, guys. This guy is a risk taker.
Right.
He's got the cojones to play the position, though. He just does. You give me that guy in the 6th round. Hey, man, if we're in the middle of the playoff, race and we end up losing if we end up losing Hurts for like, a game or two, and I need a guy to come in there and not be timid, that dude is not going to be timid. He's going to be the exact opposite problem. Right. So, I mean, there's definitely deep prospect guys in here. I love Jamie Newman's talent. I think Jamie Newman is a guy that could potentially be developed and could be something that he's one of those guys you give him, he plays like at the end of the year twice. Like he plays week 17 two times, right? And he lights teams up. He's one of those guys I can see an organization being desperate for a quarterback and trading for.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely think that there are guys in this draft, man.
EDP 445's here. I think the team is fucked in the ass regardless of who they draft. I know you do. Yeah. I know you do. Yeah, no, but I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Yeah, I think it's a deep quarterback draft class. I do. I definitely think it's a deep draft class. But the question is, if you're going to take a quarterback in the top 10, which I honestly, like I said, there's only one player I'm even remotely interested in top 10 at quarterback. But I have to know about Sam Howell. It's more than just evaluating this draft class. I need to evaluate next year's too. I need to know about Rattler and Howe and some of these guys for next year. I need to, evaluate what they are before I make that kind of decision. I think some people think that they only look at it at this singular view. You got to evaluate Hurts. You have to evaluate the guys that are in this draft class, and you got to look towards the future too. You got to know, like, hey, can I get out of this situation if I'm like, yo, I don't want to take a quarterback here. I just think that it's going to stick with what the owner said. We're going to build around what we got, and we're going to make a real push for it, a real run for it. Can I get myself out of the situation if it happens? Right. I think we'll learn more. I will say this about Sam Howell. Sam Howell looks like a kid that's been in quarterback camp since he was like 10 years old. He's got really good footwork. But I'll be honest with you, there were a few throws. I watched that Miami game where I was like, dude, what are you seeing? Like, why are you throwing them? What did you see that I didn't see? Like,
you think they'll take a guy? Do you think they're going to take a quarterback at some point in this draft, late rounds?
It depends on what they do in free agency. I think if you get like I think it's possible, man. Just because, like, going back even to the dude that signed with Dallas, remember he came in from Northwestern. He was complete trash. He was horrible. I don't know who evaluated him and who said, like, yeah, this dude has potential in the NFL. But you know what I'm talking about. The kid from Northwestern came in. He was just horrible.
I know you're talking about. Yeah,
but they always seem to take a quarterback late in rounds.
Yeah,
no matter what they're doing. That, you know, I don't know though. Maybe they had enough of those comments of being a quarterback factory. Maybe they got a little egg on their face, so now they're just like, you know what, we're going to kind of avoid this if we can.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of repair the image before we start doing these type of things again.
Exactly. That's exactly what they need to do. Repair the image. Stay away from a quarterback, especially early. Give Jalen Hurts an opportunity. S. Marie says, like, stream, and subscribe to Sport Guy Philly 500. Thank you so much. Please like, please subscribe, and also click the link in the description and sub up my man Gate City Sports. There was a question I wanted to ask somebody put on here. Here you go. Justin Biller says, trade back up in the first and get JC Horn. I know 500 is all right with that. How about you, Gate City? I've been promoting the idea of if a guy like Horn drops, let's say 25, 26, 27, that I'd be willing to trade up and grab a guy like him. What are your thoughts on something like that?
I like the complexity of what you did there. You set a value for where you would trade to.
Right.
To me, it might be a little later than that. I'd probably wait until I got to picks like 28 or so. I'd only want to try to jump maybe 10 spots. You know what I mean? Because I think if you start jumping higher than 10 spots, like you're talking about giving away significant draft capital. I like JC Horn, though. I like the player a lot.
Yeah. As Marie, thank you. She says, Chalmers, tinfoil Dingbat for conspiracy. Yeah, we're going to be dropping a conspiracy video next few days. I just got to finish editing it. But let me I guess, you know, we're over an hour, so I'm going to end this now. But I want to thank Gate City for coming on, talking to me, getting his perspective on where this team is at. I appreciate it. And if you guys haven't, please click the link in the description and sub this man up. I promise you're not going to regret it. Thank you to all the mods, the super chats, the new subscribers. Appreciate it a lot. And yeah, man. And anything you want to say before we sign off on this thing?
Nah, I mean, guys, draft profile videos, they're going through. I'm trying to get through the running backs, guys. It's just a lot of players to evaluate. I know some of you guys are waiting for me to start breaking down these receivers. Hint, hint, guys, it's probably going to happen at the end of March, beginning of April, when it's the greatest time to do that. I see my guy down here putting up Philly Fresh, the hashtag Battlebirds Podcast, hashtag BBP. Guys, Battlebirds Podcast, if you guys get a chance to check that out, you know, we'll have to get Philly 500 on the Battlebirds Podcast sometime. I'm sure he's not going to do the full 3 or 4 hours we run, but we'll get him on.
I'll go on for 3 or 4 hours. No problem.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, guys, we'll try to do something like that.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I always enjoy the show. Love your content, and thanks again, man, for coming on. I do really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we're going to let you go. I hope you guys enjoy your Saturday, enjoy your weekend. You guys take care. I will talk to you later. And of course, sub up my man. The link is in the description. Oh, we got a super chat on the way out. Jersey Dolphins, man. Thank you for the super chat. I don't want to miss that. Great show, fellas. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it, man. Thanks to each and every one of you guys. Thanks to Gate City for having coming on this Saturday and hanging out with me for a while. So you guys take care. We will talk to you later. And of course,
hold on. Before you guys sign off, what y'all eating tonight for dinner? Let me see what you guys are eating for dinner.
There you go.
I have to figure out what I'm going to have. I'm going to pick the best meal combination.
I don't
No
know.
McDonald's. I'm gonna have to pull an LB. No McDonald's.
I can't eat McDonald's. I look like I eat McDonald's, but I don't eat McDonald's.
Yeah, I don't really either.
No.
Every time I eat it, man, it sends me right to the bathroom, bro.
I'm just not a big fan. Yeah, I got to do keto.
Myself.
There you go.
Chicken cheese steak. I hear you.
That sounds good. That sounds really good.
I don't think you got that out this way, Justin.
Cheesesteaks. A lot of cheesesteaks.
Rice and beans.
There you go.
Lamb and rice.
There you go. I love it. Dynasty 215, what's up? Awesome. All right, you guys, you're making me hungry now. That's not good because I'm on keto again, and I'm already struggling as it is.
Hey, man, I can give you, if you ever want to talk about that, let me know, man. I had to do that to control my blood sugar. I did it for like 3 years.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely talk to you on it because I've been trying to do it, and I do good for a while. Then I go off, then I do good. It's like any excuse for me to go off, I take, and I got to stop doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's tough, man. Bread's hard to pass up on.
Yeah, especially if you're Italian.
Nice buttered roll. Nothing.
It's in my DNA. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all for hitting me up with all the chicken Alfredos and stuff, guys.
There you go.
All
right, you guys take care. Yeah, man. Appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. And we're out of here now. Peace, everybody.